If you're thinking of Japan, you probably think of Mount Fuji or geishas, but also of sushi, ramen, and onigiri. Japanese gastronomy is one of the richest and most popular in the world. And in Japan, you will be able to discover it like in no other place. Many say that Osaka is Japan's kitchen, but Tokyo is not behind. Japan's capital is also one of the gastronomic capitals of the world, and for many years, Tokyo had the highest numbers of restaurants with Michelin stars. But don't worry, in Tokyo you can find great restaurants no matter what your budget is. And in this video, I will show you where you can find Tokyo's best restaurants for every type of food and for every budget. From the most traditional Japanese food, like sushi, ramen or okonomiyaki, to more international food like pizza or hamburgers. But first I want to share with you some general information that I think will be helpful. But if you just want to hear the recommendations, you can see in the description in which minute I start talking about which kind of food. And of course I will leave the links of every restaurant that I mentioned. The first thing you need to know is that in Japan you don't need to tip. In fact, you shouldn't tip. In Japanese restaurants, they already charge you for service, so tipping can be considered even rude, so don't do it. My second tip is that if you want to save some money, you can always buy prepared meals at the supermarket or convenience store. In Japan, all supermarkets have a quite big section of prepared food where you can find sushi, ramen, onigiri, every food that I'm going to mention in this video. So if you want to save some money, you can check it. Another tip to save some money are menus. Most restaurants in Japan offer menus. Sometimes they are the same food for lunch and dinner, and sometimes they offer different food. But normally these menus are cheaper for lunch, so if you want to go to a fancier place and save a bit of money, check if they have a lunch menu and you can save some money like that. Also, you should know that if you want to go to a restaurant, you probably will need to book a table. The best thing is to check the restaurant on Google Maps and see what the options are. Normally you can call and you can also book using an app. There are several options, but if you can choose, I recommend this app because you don't need to write your name in Japanese characters, so it's much easier. And if you don't have the option to use an app and you don't have a Japanese number to call, normally in the hotels the concierge will help you with that and book the table for you. And the last thing I think you should know before going to a restaurant in Japan is that Japanese people normally eat around 12-13 p.m. and have dinner at around 8. So if you want to avoid rush times, you can go have lunch and dinner a little bit earlier or later than that. Well, now we've covered all the general information, so let's start with the recommendations. And we start with one of the most iconic Japanese food, sushi. You probably already know sushi, but something I didn't know before arriving to Japan is that it's not a food that families eat at home like ramen or okonomiyaki, but they rather eat at a restaurant. The technique and ingredients are very important in sushi, and that's why they prefer to eat it at a restaurant instead of buying it at a supermarket or preparing it at home. And for you, probably sushi is in your Japan bucket list, so I have prepared for you a list with several options from the most affordable ones to the most expensive ones. We start with the most affordable ones, and those would be sushi roll restaurants. These restaurants are the ones with a conveyor belt where you can just take the sushi from there or order it with a tablet. And although they don't have the highest sushi quality in Japan, I think you get good value for your money and also the experience is very fun. So I would recommend it especially if you've never tried sushi or if you wanna try all different types of fish and figure out which ones you like and which ones you don't like before you go to a more expensive place. The most popular sushi roll restaurants in Japan are Sushiro and Kappa Sushi. But besides these ones, I recommend you this little place in Shibuya, where they have sushi, but they also have other types of food like ramen or Japanese fried chicken. And moving on to places that are a little bit more expensive, I have 4 options for you. All of them were recommendations, and I would say that the quality of the fish is very good in all of them, although the price varies a little bit. Some are more expensive and some a little bit more affordable, but I'd say this difference in the price is not based on the quality of the fish, but rather on the style of the restaurant, if it's more fancy or not. So if you're just looking for high quality sushi and you don't mind how beautiful or not is the restaurant, then you should try Sushi no Midori. They have multiple locations in Tokyo and all of them are normally crowded, so I would recommend you to book a table in advance. Or if you can't, you can also go there a little bit before they open, and they have machines at the door where you can get a ticket with your turn to get a table. These machines are in Japanese, but with Google Lens and the help of the people in the line, you manage. And last but not least, if we are speaking about sushi, I have to mention the Sushi Dai at Tokyo's fish market. This place is a little bit farther away from the city, but it is totally worth it, not only because of the quality of the fish and how delicious the sushi is, but also for the experience of seeing how they prepare it in front of you. It is one of the most expensive options that I have in this video. The cheapest menu is around 6,500 yen, and from there you can spend as much money as you want. As I said, it's a little bit far, but if you really like fish, I think you won't regret it. But it normally gets really crowded, so what people normally do is they wake up early to be there as they open and have sushi for breakfast. So I'll leave it up to you to see if it's worth it or not, but I had to mention it. And now we move on to ramen restaurants. Unlike sushi, ramen is a food that Japanese people eat almost daily. And they eat it at home, at a restaurant, in one of the small restaurants in the station, or just buy it to go at 7-Eleven. They just love it and eat it really often. And maybe that is why ramen is a much more affordable option than sushi. So you can find many options where you can eat delicious ramen quite cheap. One of the most popular options is Ichiran ramen, which is very well known among locals and also tourists. And I personally really like it and recommend it, not only because of the food, but also because of the experience. And this is because Ichiran is not the classic and traditional restaurant where you just order with the waiter, but instead you have a queue, and then when it's your turn, you get to a vending machine, like a coffee vending machine, where you select the type of ramen you want, you pay and you get a ticket. And then when you get a spot to sit, you give it to the waiter and they will bring it to you through a small window you have on your table. It is also really affordable, so I recommend it, but remember to bring cash because you cannot pay with credit card. But if you wanna avoid these big chains, I'll leave you here 4 options that are smaller restaurants. They are all very good and have been in the list of the best ramen restaurants in Tokyo, so you cannot go wrong with any of them. And of course, if we are talking about ramen, I have to mention the, I think, only restaurant in Tokyo with vegan ramen. This restaurant is in the Team Love Planet, so a little bit farther from the city, but if you go to the museum, you definitely have to try it because it's delicious. And you don't have to just trust my opinion on this ramen, because it has been on the Michelin guide for several years, so you really have to try it if you go. And the next recommendations I have prepared for you are udon restaurants. In case you don't know udon, these are a bit thicker noodles, and you can eat them all by themselves with soup, cold or warm. I only have one place to recommend for udon noodles, but I don't think you need any other restaurants if I have to be honest, because this one is really delicious. The name is Udon Shin, and it is a tiny place in Shinjuku where they make the udon from scratch. And the huge lines are the best proof that the food is amazing. In addition to udon, they also have tempura, so if you go, you can try them both, and I'm sure you'll really like it. But if you go, remember that they don't accept credit card nor Suica, so bring some cash with you. The next restaurant I want to recommend is an Okonomiyaki and yakisoba restaurant. And I think not that many people know Okonomiyaki as they know other foods like ramen or sushi, but I think it's definitely worth it and you should try if you go to Japan. Okonomiyaki is really popular in Japanese households. They prepare it quite often at home, and I think it is delicious. It's one of my favorite Japanese food, so if you go, you should try it out. There are many places in Tokyo where you can try it, but I recommend you this one because it's not expensive at all, and you can choose the ingredients you want to add to your okonomiyaki. If you want a classic one, you want one from the menu, or you just want to make your own with ingredients that you like. And also you have a teppanyaki on your table, so you can prepare it yourself and hopefully be a little more successful than me and have it look better. Although I think that when we think about Japanese food, the first food that pops into our minds are fish or noodles, Japanese beef is also really delicious and very well known, so I think that's something you should add to your list. And for me, the best one is the Wagyu beef. It is one of the most famous ones because of its flavor and texture. And although it is a quite expensive meat, I think it is definitely worth it to try if you go to Japan. The price varies a lot depending on how much and what you want to eat, but if you just want some more standard types of meat and you will combine it with some rice or vegetables, I think you can eat for about 4,000 yen per person, drinks included. And of course, if you want some more special parts of the beef, you can spend as much as you want. But if you want to try it, I can recommend you these two restaurants. They are both very good, although I personally prefer this one. You have a teppanyaki on your table, so they will explain to you how to prepare it and you can cook it yourself. And we continue with meat, but now I'll recommend you a hamburger place. If you wanna have a break from Japanese food and have a hamburger, I think the Great Burger is a really good option for you. You can there try normal beef hamburgers. They also have vegan and vegetarian options and other food like sandwiches and also breakfast. But they also have and are specialized in Wagyu hamburger. So now you don't have any excuse not to try Wagyu where you are in Tokyo. This place is in Omotesando, which is a very nice neighborhood in Tokyo near Shibuya. It is known for being a very young, spirited and a little bit alternative neighborhood, and they have a lot of nice cafes, shops and art galleries. So if you go, you can have a walk and explore Omotesando a little bit. And last but not least, in case you don't wanna eat any more Japanese food or meat, I bring you a couple of Italian restaurants. The first one is located near Tokyo Station, and you can find their pasta, pizza and meat as well. They have menus for lunch and they're very affordable for what pizza normally costs in Tokyo, and really tasty, so I think this is a very good option. A16 is located in a very quiet and nice square, so I think it's the perfect spot to make a break after visiting, for example, the Imperial Palace, which is not far away. And the last option in this video is a pizza place in Minato City, near Asabu-Yuban and Roppongi Hills. If you like Napolitan-style pizza, you will love this place. I think it's the best pizza I have tried in Tokyo, and I think I'm not the only one to think this, because this place has also been in the Michelin Guide in several occasions. This place is a little bit more expensive than the previous one, but I think totally worth it, and you can also order to go if you want. Well, and that was all. I hope you didn't watch the video while you were hungry, and that you can go to some of the restaurants that I mentioned next time you're in Tokyo. And if you liked the video, please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time!